The dishonesty of some people exceeds any limit. This young woman's name is Angela. She was walking to work and noticed that underneath a beggar's cardboard box was a lot of money. Even though she knew that this person needed much more than she did, Angela didn't think to take those bills. She took all the money and hid it inside a briefcase. In return, she deposited only a few coins in the cardboard box. Shortly thereafter, he reaches into his pocket and places underneath that same cardboard box a few more bills of money. Apparently, this is a social test. Minutes have passed and now it is a young man who spots that significant amount of money. His name is James. He looks to the side and, just as that girl did, steals the money from the supposedly blind beggar. In addition to robbing the poor man, he kicks the beggar by calling him dirty and suggesting that he go somewhere else. The man is further shocked to witness the moral hole that part of society is in. For the third time, he puts his hand in his pocket and again places a certain amount of money under the cardboard box. A little later, another man, named Phil, passes by the beggar and notices those flashy money bills. This time, he decides to let the homeless man know what is going on. The honest man wakes up the beggar and warns him that if he doesn't keep that money well, someone will surely rob him. He is a kind person, and although he is late for a job interview, he puts what little money he has in his pocket to help that older man. The supposed beggar thanks him for the help. Phil replies that it is nothing and again advises him to be more careful with that money. After finally finding someone honest, the man seems satisfied with the test. A few minutes later, those same people find themselves in the waiting room of a company. A man greets everyone and informs the participants that he will be responsible for interviewing each one. The woman gets up and introduces herself. The other candidate does the same and asks the man's name. He refuses to introduce himself and asks the two to return to their respective chairs. Phil also stands up and comments that he knows him from somewhere, but is interrupted by the man. He demands that everyone remain seated and silent until the interview begins. He points out that they are all employees of the company and have applied for the manager's position. He highlights that it is important that this position is disputed among people who already know how the company works and have good internal evaluations. First, he starts by praising Amanda, the beggar thief. He says that she is a great employee, with an exceptional resume, with college abroad, qualifications that add a lot and make her worthy of competing for this important position in the company. As for James, the man points out that he is a genius in accounting, a sector of the company that in fact is not easy, and yet he manages to stand out since he took this position. The man also praises James' resume, which is equally incredible. About Phil, the only honest one in the test, the man reveals that he was the most praised among all the employees in the company. He is head of cleaning, an important position, but that makes the two dishonest candidates scoff and laugh at Phil. Poor man. He realizes that his colleagues in the company think he is somehow inferior. Having said all this, the man in charge of the interview suggests that, before they go to the next step of the interview, it would be interesting if the three of them would talk to each other. He has requested the receptionist to prepare a coffee break for them. He asks the candidates for the manager position to accompany him so that they can have a snack and get to know each other better. James humiliates Phil. According to him, a mere janitor should not consider becoming the next manager of an important company. The humble man replies that he respects his colleague's opinion, but explains that he is only there because he was called. Angela is also, besides being dishonest, rude. She claims that he is only useful for cleaning up the mess that people like her and James might eventually produce. James makes a joke that he could take advantage of now to grab a broom and clean that room. The shameless woman hints that it's nothing personal. They are saying this so that he will not be disappointed when he is not the chosen person. James is sure that the only thing Phil is going to gain by being in that room is that salty snack he ate, stating that the job is already his. The cleaner decides not to get involved in their dirty little game. The man gets up from his chair and goes over to the three candidates. He reinforces that the snacks are already served. Angela complains about the delay loudly, acting as if she were in her own home. The man apologizes for the delay. He justifies that he was busy with company demands. Actually, he needs to stay a few more minutes to answer some emails, so they can chat, and in a couple of minutes he'll be back. A few minutes later, who shows up at the office is that beggar who took the social test on the street. Strangely enough, he goes to the garbage can, while the three employees of the company enjoy the coffee break. James complains that Phil is also eating. The woman comments that he should eat, implying that he, being a cleaner, is starving. The head of the cleaning team says he doesn't understand why, Even after so many years in the company, they are still the same people. At this moment, the woman asks her friend to look back. James declares that he feels disgusted to see that beggar one more time. Angela adds that she can't believe that a company of that size would allow people like that into the building. The fake beggar claims to be very hungry and wonders if they have anything to offer. James replies that he has something delicious to eat. He comments that he is very sorry to see an older man in this kind of situation, but he throws the snack on the floor. Alternatively, he suggests that the man can pick it up off the floor, saying that he is already used to eating garbage. To Angela, he begs her to give him some food. The woman forbids him to come close, revealing that she feels disgusted by him. She says she would rather throw food in the garbage than give it to a starving person like him. Phil, on the other hand, proves once again to be a kind person and gathers a few snacks so that the starving man can get some food. He knows it is not much, but it is what he can do at the moment to help. The beggar thanks him for the kindness. James mocks that this is solidarity between kindred spirits, implying that a cleaner is also a starving man. In a cruel mentality, the woman recognizes that poor people have to help each other, but it is necessary to take care, because it is just like rats. Phil disagrees with this. For him, there is nothing wrong with helping a person who hasn't eaten in days. The woman says that if he doesn't agree, he can give the money he has to the beggar. Phil explains that he has paid his bills for the month. The woman accuses him of being a liar and a hypocrite, doubting that he doesn't even have $2 in his pocket. The janitor replies that when he is in solidarity with someone, he doesn't make a point of announcing it to everyone. For him, doing good in anonymity is enough. The woman does not change and orders the beggar to leave, suggesting that he is stinking up the place. James goes further, pushes the man out of the office. Shortly thereafter, the man doing the interview requests that the three approach. The woman once again complains about the delay and Phil is pushed out by the two co-workers. It is informed that it is now a new phase of the interview. This continuation consists of the following. The man will ask them a question, and if they get it wrong, the person will automatically be disqualified from the interview. The question is whether they consider themselves a good person. The one who starts answering is Angela. She says that it is clear that she is a good person, because she was very well raised by her parents, who allowed her to study abroad. About charity, she points out that she loves helping the poor on the street. James' turn comes, and he is not much different. The accountant classifies himself not as a good person, but an amazing person, because he loves helping street dogs and even has an institution that helps poor people. In addition, he goes to church every Sunday. Phil answers that he can't tell if he is a good person. What he can guarantee is that he does his best to do good. Although he had a childhood with many difficulties, in poverty and surrounded by daily violence, he doesn't use any of this as an alibi for him to make mistakes in life. Without further ado, the man stands up and points to Angela and James. They are both disqualified from the manager interview. The woman doesn't understand why, since he asked almost nothing. James demands at least a good explanation. "Let me explain," states that man who was disguised as a beggar. He reveals that the interview didn't start now, it started long before. The first step was to assess the honesty of the candidates. He recalls a beggar who was on the street, on the ground near the company. Well, that beggar was him, and Angela and James didn't think twice about stealing that money. The second stage of the interview consisted of evaluating each one's ability to act as a leader. The woman, whenever she had the opportunity, belittled those she considered of a lower rank. James acted in the same way, sometimes even more cruelly, unlike Phil, who was always kind to everyone who appeared in front of him. Finally, the third stage is designed to evaluate the goodness that each one carries in their hearts. James and Angela have indeed proven that they are not good people. They humiliated the boss when he was disguised as a beggar. Furthermore, they humiliated him when he came into the office asking only for something to eat. That said, he demands that they both leave his company and never come back. Not only do they not get the management position, but they are both fired. The characterless woman, instead of assuming her mistake, mocks the company, implying that she was already in the mood to resign. James points out that he cannot be fired, since he is the best accountant in the company. The businessman refuses to repeat. The beggar thief also belittles the company that has employed him for so many years. As for Phil, The businessman congratulates him on the incredible character he has. He believes that the cleaner will be the right person to take over the management position. He is somewhat incredulous that he will really be chosen for this important position, but the boss confirms that this is exactly what will happen. He has, after all, passed all the stages of the test. The businessman puts his hand in the jacket and gives Phil back that little money he donated earlier. The cleaner comments that he didn't want his colleagues to be fired because of him, but he recognizes the importance of this kind of test happening in any company. The manager emphasizes that it was not his fault that those two were fired. The company really needs people who, besides being qualified, have fundamental human values, as Phil has proven to have. Always be a good person. Your boss and especially God will always be watching.